And besides the DNA, the most conclusive evidence would be if they would agree to exhume the wax body, if it is indeed a wax body.
But they won't. That's the interesting question. I've had a lot of questions. People ask me, do you think he's alive? What have you seen? I can honestly say I've seen a lot of information on one side, perhaps that he is alive, but absolutely nothing from the other side to prove he's dead.
When you say he travels, he could be watching us right now.
It's possible. It's possible.
This doctor with copies of Elvis's medical records and even tissue samples. Bill Beanie met the doctor in 1996 and convinced him to have the tissue samples tested for DNA.
Doctor was a super nice fellow. He asked that his name be kept out of it because he has a large clinic in Memphis. He didn't want any controversy that involved him.
The doctor inherited the medical records and tissue samples from his friend, pathologist Dr. Harold Sexton. Sexton had handled 2 liver biopsies for Elvis when he was tested for hepatitis in '73 and '75. Sexton also worked on the autopsy tissues.
To protect himself, Dr. Sexton kept copies of everything he did.
For fear of being sued, Sexton saved the tissue slides from both the biopsies and the autopsy.
I said, how do we know these are Elvis samples? The doctor went to the medical records, which have the heading of the Baptist Hospital on them.
The tissue slides are clearly documented in the medical records. The doctor agreed to release them for DNA testing. We wondered if either sample would match Jesse's DNA.
We did the tests on Jesse, and our results turned out to be a different type than liver or the autopsy samples. That means that they have come from a different individual.
Not only was Jesse's DNA different, but researcher Alice Newman found something startling.
I got a different DNA type from the 1975 biopsy sample and the autopsy specimen. All 3 samples appear to be from different individuals because each one of them has a different DNA type.
Elvis's liver tissue is different than Elvis's autopsy tissue. Bill Beanie's not surprised. His lab ran the original tests with the same results.
The only conclusion I could come to is that Jesse is not Elvis Presley. Elvis is still out there somewhere.
But Dr.
How could there possibly be 3 different sets of DNA? That is a question we have now put to the Tennessee Attorney General's office and the Shelby County District Attorney. Both say they are looking into our findings. Continues.
You have more of a mystery now than you did when you started. Where in the world do you go from here?
We go to Tennessee. We need to find out what exactly is going on with those 2 sets of tissue samples. We need to know. So we're going to keep pursuing this, keep investigating.
This is very confusing indeed. And it'd be interesting to find out what you think right now, quickly.
We were looking for a clear-cut answer. Our viewers were looking for it, and the Pandora's box just opened wide.
Wow. We look forward to it.
Thanks, Susan.
It's really something.
Thank you, Suzanne.
The Tennessee Attorney General's office and the Shelby County District Attorney both say they are looking into it because, at a minimum, the autopsy tissue should match the liver biopsy tissue, and they don't match, and of course Jesse doesn't match either one either.
So does that mean now the question is, where is he, or who's in the grave, or what?
That's the question. That's a very good question. That is the question.
But nothing matched Jesse's. We don't have anything
at this
that we
point,
believe
no.
that matched this guy.
At this point, that's correct.